Hello, this is Dr. Mears. Today we are going to be learning about drawing graphs of functions. Now this is very specific to IB because they want to differentiate between the words draw and sketch. So I have some vocabulary here for you. First, draw. Draw represents by means of a labeled, accurate diagram or graph using a pencil. A ruler, straight edge should be used for straight lines. Diagrams should be drawn to scale. Graphs should have points correctly plotted, if appropriate, and joined in a straight line or smooth curve. Now that is different than a sketch. A sketch represents by means of a diagram or a graph labeled. The sketch should give a general idea of the required shape or relationship. Here we have our examples. 1. Using the information, draw the graph for each line. So by means of draw, we are going to be getting out our pencil because it says that we need to be using a pencil. And this is specific for the IB exam. When we draw, we have to make sure everything is labeled. Now, I have provided for you a graph that does have labeled x-axis and y-axis. However, if this example has context to it, meaning if it's about a certain place or if it's about the environment, you would label these with the appropriate context from the problem. But for now, we just have x-axis and y-axis, and I also provided the numbers for you. If the numbers aren't provided, you are going to have to put your numbers in. Drawing is a very specific way of demonstrating that you know how to draw a graph. All right, here we have part A, x-intercept at -3, 0, and y-intercept at 0, 5. So x-intercept, we're going to go to the x-axis, and we're going to go to -3 and make a point. Then we're going to go to the y-axis, go to +5 and make a point. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to take our ruler, which is our straight edge, and we're going to connect these with a line. And there we have our nice graph that we drew, making sure that it's labeled, making sure we used a pencil, a ruler, drawn to scale, we went by ones, points correctly plotted and joined in a straight line. Since it said x-intercept and y-intercept, I am assuming that this is a straight line that intersects the x and the y-axis. Now, if you want to go a step further, and label your points here, 0, 5, and -3, 0. You can do so as well. That just makes it even better. Let's go to our next one. Part B, y-intercept at -1 and a slope of 1/2. Now I just have a little bit to say about slope because we are getting into graphing lines and we have seen this before, so I'm going to do a little bit of a review, not too much, not too in-depth, just to go over slope, which is represented by the variable m. Now slope, we have to turn it into a fraction, but here we already see it's a fraction. The reason why we need it into a fraction is because it tells us our directions of where to go. We're going to be starting at this y-intercept. This is our start point always on the y when we're graphing a line. Then here's our directions. So if the number on top or in the numerator is positive, we're going to go up. If the number in the numerator is negative, we go down. Then we look at the denominator. If the denominator is going to be positive, we're going to be going to the right. Or if the number in the denominator is negative, we're going to be going to the left. Also in IB, slope is called gradient. Same exact meaning. We're going on a slope, we're sloping or slanting. Gradient, same thing. All right, now that we know a little bit about slope, let's plot this. Our start point is our y-intercept. Make sure there's labels. Excellent. There's a scale. We're going by ones. Again, if this wasn't provided, you would put it in. I provided it for you to save time. We're now going to go to -1. -1. This actually wasn't labeled, so I'm going to put -1 in here because it wasn't labeled. So -1. All right, here's our start point. From our start point, we go to our slope. The one on top is positive. That means we're going to go up. So we're going to be going up 1, up 1. All right, from there, where are we going to go? Well, the number in the denominator is positive, so we're going to go right. So from here, we're going to go up 1, right 2. Up 1, right 2. Now we have some points on the left side here. Let's go back and let's do the opposite. So instead of going up from our start point, we're going to go down. Instead of going left, we're going to go right, 1, 2. And that just makes your graph just a little bit more complete. Okay, so we're just doing the opposite directions. Now we see we have points on the left side and points on the right side. We're going to take our ruler, make a line, and there you have it, our nice drawn graph. Okay, next, part C. Y equals negative x plus 1. So here we see that we have an equation. This is linear, which means we have to label our parts. In labeling our parts, we want to pull out our slope and our y-intercept. And yes, this is bringing you back. Notice that our m, which is going to be our slope, is negative here. There's a negative and then there's an x. When you see that there's a negative and no number here, you're going to put in the number 1. So now when we pull out our m, it's going to be negative 1. Now I said it needs to be into a fraction. In order to turn a whole number into a fraction, we always and forever place it over 1. Let's get our start point. Our start point is going to be b, which is our y-intercept. So b equals 1. However, this is a point. It's the point on the y-axis. So our start point is 0, 1. So from our start point 0, 1, which is right here on the y-axis, we're going to be doing our slope. The number in the numerator is negative, so we're going to go down. The number in the denominator is positive, so we're going to go right. If you like these directions, make sure you always write them down on your paper. Okay, so we're going back. Here's our start point. So we're starting, remember, on the y-axis. From here, we're going to go down 1, right 1, make a point. Down 1, right 1, make a point. Now that we have a couple points over on the right side, let's go back and get some points on the left side. So instead of going back to our start point, go back to your start point. Instead of going down, yes, we're going to go up. And instead of going right, yes, we're going to go left. So up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1. And you can pretty much see the pattern. If you went here and then you went down 1, left 1, you're not going to get a nice straight line, and that's what we're looking for. And then we're going to take our ruler, nice line, and we are going to put some arrows on them. Okay, there we go. Let's go to our next page. Now we have a function, c of n. And so our c of n, we're going to label our y-axis as c of n equals 3 plus 2n. We're going to label our x-axis as n. So notice how it changed a little bit, but we're just going to be putting our correct labels in that match up to where they need to be. This is still linear. Now, a lot of people see that we have this 3. This is not m, everybody. What has happened is they just switched the b and the mx. So usually it's mx plus b, but they flipped these. So we're still going to pull our slope out. Our m is still positive 2. M equals 2. Yes, making it into a fraction, we put it over 1. Our b, always remember, your b does not have an x next to it. So our start point is going to be 0, 3. So we're starting on the y-axis at 3. So don't get intimidated if you just see these reversed. The one with the variable attached by multiplication is going to be your slope. Always look for that, no matter if it's on the left side of the equal sign, the right side of the equal sign, no matter it's in front of the b, back of the b. That's what you look for. You don't look for order, you look to see where is my number that is attached to my variable by multiplication, and that's going to be your slope. Okay, let's plot this. So we're going to go to our start point. Here's our starting. So here is 3. Our m is positive, so we're going to go up and then right. So we're going to go from our start point up 1, 2, right 1. Up 1, 2, right 1. And I'm just going to pretend that this is going to be extended here. Here's 7. Okay, we have some points over here, so let's get some points on the other side. So instead of going up from our start point, we're going to go down 1, 2, and left. Down 1, 2, down 1, 2, and left. Now that I have some nice points, I'm going to take out my ruler, trying to get through all of them, put some arrows on this line, and here we have a nice drawn graph. Okay, next, let's learn how to sketch. Using your GDC, sketch the following graphs. So let's now get out our graphing calculator, open it up, and we're going to learn how to sketch these. Now, I am going to write down, I flipped these graphs, notice, I am going to write down the steps for you to graph. It is not difficult, you just should have the steps down. So, remembering, this is a function, so this is f of x, and this is x. And remember, for our sketch, it does say right here that we need them labeled. And it should give a general idea of the required shape. So let's see what it looks like on the GDC. So remember, f of x is our y. So this is y equals negative x squared plus 4. Just remembering that. In your calculator, what you're going to do is you're going to take it out, and then you're going to push on. Here we go. Then we are going to push this y equals button right here, y equals. So we push y equals. If you see anything in there, such as this, we're going to press clear. Here is your clear button right here. So we clear out any other equations. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to put this side of the equation in. In order to do that, we're going to be pressing the negative button. Negative button is down here. Now we need an x. This button, the x, t, theta, n, this right here, it's next to your alpha button. You're going to press it. That is going to be our x button. So when we input equation, or that side of the expression, this side, we're going to be using that x, t, theta, whoops, I wrote my theta wrong, theta, n button. And you know what? I'm going to put little boxes around the buttons you push. Okay. Now we need it to be squared. So we're going to, this is my, remember, my square button is this exponent button right here. And squared. I need to come out of my exponent spot so you hit the right arrow. And then we have plus 4. Excellent. Now we're ready to graph. And what I'm going to teach you to use is the zoom feature. And no, I'm not talking about having a meeting. I'm talking about zooming in on where our graph is. Here is our zoom button. So after you press your equation, what we're going to do is we're going to go to zoom. So press your zoom button. There's all these different zooms. There's zoom box, zoom in, zoom out, zoom decimal, zoom square. What I'm going to look for is zoom fit. And so you might have to scroll down, and you do. 0 is zoom fit. 0, and that says zoom. There's a little down arrow. Fit. And what this does is it fits the graph of your equation. So that's what we're going to go and push. So I'm going to push, go scroll down. When we scroll down, we use this down button, and I'll push enter on zoom fit. And we notice it fits it really nicely to the graph, just like this. Now this is zoomed in a lot, and you can tell because all of these little itty bitty pieces here, all these little itty bitty lines. So what we can do, if you want to zoom out, you're absolutely right. We can press zoom again and see how it says number 3 for zoom out, so we can zoom out if we would like. And once you push enter, you're going to have to push it one more time. And there we have it. Now, again, if it gives it to you like this, and you're like, ooh, I want to zoom in on it a little bit, we can press zoom. You go down to in, and you have to press enter twice. So when you zoom in or zoom out, you have to press enter twice. The reason why I zoomed back in is because look at this graph. Look at how it's over that 0, 0 point. It passes over the 0, 0 point. So when we sketch this, what we're going to do is we're not going to worry about the numbers. Rather, we're going to notice how it goes through the second line. See how it goes through the second line here? It almost looks like it's -2. And it goes through here, this +2. That's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to go through -2 here and go through positive 2 here. So I'm showing that this sketch, and let me move this over, this sketch is above that x-axis right here, and then it's passing through these second lines on my x. And that's it. That's what you have to do. You do not have to be particular about how to your scales or get it perfectly right or show those points. We just want the overall sketch. So let's try it again for our last one. Here we have y equals square root of x minus 3. So first you're going to press that y equals button. Y equals. We're going to clear out any equations. Clear. We're going to put in this side of the equation. In order to get this square root button, you want this square root button, what you're going to push is second. You're going to push second. And then you're going to push this x squared button. And I didn't push second. Second, and you get a little arrow, and then this x squared button. And that gets you your square root. Now we're going to push the xt theta n button for that x variable. Remember, that's right here. Then it's going to be minus 3, minus 3. And notice, everything is underneath the square root. If you needed to go outside of the square root, you would just push that over arrow button, just like you would do for an exponent. Okay, so let's see what happens when we press zoom fit. So, oops, sorry, first we have to press zoom, don't we? Before we can do zoom fit. Okay, first we press zoom. Okay, zoom. Now we scroll down to zoom fit. Let's see what happens when we press zoom fit. Sometimes you might not like how the graph looks, so let's see what happens. Oops, enter. Okay. So I might, you know what, I want to zoom out. So let's press zoom again. And then let's go down to 3 for a zoom out. And remember, you have to press enter twice. That's what I was doing on that last problem, pressing enter twice. So let's press, whoops, zoom on, zoom out. Let's go enter and enter again, and let's see what happens. Oh, that's better. Yeah, that kind of looks like half of our other graph, but like, you know, turned around. So what I did to get this graph is I pressed 3 I pressed zoom, and then I went to zoom out, and you have to press enter twice. This is where a lot of people are like, the calculator's not doing anything. That's because you didn't press enter twice. So looking at this graph, and I'm going to kind of zoom in for you guys, for everybody here joining our video, I am just going to look to see if I can see where it intersects that y at x-axis, and it looks like it's at the third line, and then it just comes out and up. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to maybe even add a couple more lines in here. See how I added some lines? Because it looks a little bit like this. You can do that if you want. And then I'm going to come up and out. I'm going to label, this is my x, this is my y. That's what they used. They used y and they used x, so I labeled it x and y. And here is a nice general picture. I think I could have gone up maybe just a little bit, but we get the gist of how it's supposed to look. Okay, this has been Dr. Mears. This has been the difference between draw and sketch. Go forth and draw and sketch. Hope it helped. Thanks.